Welcome to your Biggest Deal podcast with Joseph Williams.
Let's go.
Connecting you with top real estate professionals and entrepreneurs from around the country about the deals, strategies, and motivation that made them successful and will help you reach the next level. This is your Biggest Deal with Joseph Williams.
Wow, we just finished up with Jon Schoeller out of Charleston, West Virginia, and learned about his multiple faceted real estate business. He touched base real quick on the deal So Nice. They flipped it twice. So they actually flipped the same house twice over a couple year period and profited both times. So definitely a unique story there. He also talked a lot about being the go-to person in your community, and I think the tips that he gives during this are just excellent about how to connect and shake hands with people. So without further ado, here's Jon Schoeller. Well, let's welcome Jon Schoeller to the Your Biggest Deal podcast. He's a real estate investor based out of West Virginia, I believe. So, Jon, if you could just kind of kick it off and tell us who you are, where you came from, and kind of what got you going in your current trajectory within your investing.
Yeah, Joseph, I appreciate you having me on. So, yeah, I am primarily a real estate investor. I'm a private money lender as well. I own several other businesses, but this being a real estate podcast, we'll keep it focused on that. So I joined up with my partners here in Charleston, West Virginia about 4.5 years ago. We moved here for my wife to go to nurse anesthetist school. She has since graduated and working locally. And about 4.5 years of investing with my partners, we've now flipped over 160 homes together. We have some rentals, we have some RTO homes, and we do some wholesaling as well. And that's what we do. And then my wife and I are also private money lenders inside of the company.
Yes, it sounds like you are pretty well established in all different aspects of real estate. Kind of one leads to another a lot of times. When you're starting to flip, you're like, well, let's control our own deal flow. Let's try to find some deals through wholesale. This one doesn't work for us. We're going to wholesale it out instead of keeping this one for a flip and whatnot. So that's something that I'll always look at doing as well, for sure. So when you look at real estate in the Charleston area, where'd you move from to get into that city?
So we actually moved from Charlottesville, Virginia.
Okay.
So, well, that was our home base, but we were doing travel nursing. My wife was a travel nurse before that. So we lived in a few places in California, Palo Alto, Los Angeles, Pacifica, and then we actually lived in Maui for 3 months, and then DC.
Wow.
And then finally, she applied back to go to grad school for nurse anesthesia, and that's what got us here from Marshall University.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, my wife's a nurse, and maybe I need to tell her to start doing some travel so we can hit up Maui.
Yeah, it's the greatest thing about it. I mean, they pay for where you live, they pay you a higher salary, and they pay for your moving expenses.
Yeah, obviously we're kind of in this post-COVID world right now, and a lot of people there are on contract, so we're based out of Richmond, Virginia. So she works at here in Richmond, and so we're not too far away when it comes to that. So when it comes to your biggest deal, you said your biggest deal, I guess, was involved with a private investor. So you kind of didn't want to go down that road. What deal did you want to tell us about today?
Yeah, so I guess to explain that a little bit further, we work primarily with private money. So all of our deals are funded through outside investors, just people, not banks, not institutions, not hard money. So some of that we respect the lenders and keep their privacy, on deals and things. People don't want to know what they're making and all that, which is understandable. But what's nice is my wife and I, like I said, we're private money investors inside the company, so I can divulge those numbers no problem. So the deal that I was going to talk with you about, we'll call it Glow Drive. That was the address. And this one's interesting because, like I said, I joined up with my partners about 4.5 years ago, and they had been flipping for about 2 years prior to that. And this house, they had actually flipped before, and it came up as a foreclosure. We got a call from the bank that it was going to go up, and we were like, wait, Andrew, well, my partner said, I think I know that address. And sure enough, we look it up in our before folder where we keep all of our properties, and sure enough, it was the same house again. So what happened was they actually flipped it, sold it, then that owner sold it to somebody else, and then that person actually got foreclosed on, And we went in and scooped it up again. And I actually have all the numbers and stuff if you want to go over them. I don't know how much detail you want on the deal, but it was a fun one. And we gross profit. It was after realtor and closing costs and everything. Made about $61,000.
Yeah, that's a good one. 60. I love it when I always try to tell people and myself is always underwrite very conservatively, right? So I'll always go in like, I know I can get 30 out of this one. And then like, especially in this market, it's like, maybe I can get 40. Oh, wait, a couple more months. Oh, now the market just keeps going up, up, up. I think I can get 70 for this. So it's like he keeps going and going. Now, I'm interested in, first off, what your partners have bought it for originally, and then 3.5 years later, what the bank ended up selling to you again for. How did that look?
I actually don't have the first numbers.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have those available. I might be able to get back in the Dropbox and find that. But the numbers on our deal, I have them right here. So we actually picked it up for $136,000 is what we bought it for. And keep in mind the value on this thing was about $240. So 136, and it had already been flipped, so it didn't need a lot of work. So we only had to put $22,000 into it. And that we went fast on this one. We didn't nickel and dime the contractors. We knew the margin on it, and we just wanted to go fast. So we did paint, floor, granite, appliances, and of course we had holding costs and stuff like that. So we were all in for about $158,700. We sold it for $240 after closing costs and realtor, which is about almost $19,000. Our gross profit on it was $61,300, so $61,300. And we did this quickly. I think the whole deal was like 3 months. And the only reason it took that long is, I'm sure you know this, some lenders make you hold the property for 90 days before you can sell it again. Some loans from the purchaser standpoint. And so we did have to wait to close it. And that Rana and I put up all the money. So it was $158,700 all in. And we typically do a third on the deal, but because this was a layup for the company, we agreed with Steve and Andrew that we would fund it at 25% of the profit. And so Rana and I made $15,300, which was just to us, not to the company, but just to us, was a 30% annualized ROI.
That's awesome.
So
that's awesome. That's a great return in that time frame. Just something to call out, a lot of people don't realize that a quick flip is 3 months. They forget, they think all flips are 3 months. Really it's really around 6. If you can do a normal flip in 4 to 5, that's pretty quick. What you did here was what I call lipstick. People forget inspections, 30 days to close, 45 days to close. In your case, you had to deal with the FHA loan where you have to own the property for at least 90 days. I saw one a couple months back where it was around that $70,000 mark. And not only did we have to wait for the time frame, they also hit me like, I think the Friday before a Monday close, or a Thursday before a Monday close, that they wanted to have a second appraisal because the price had increased so much. Mm-hmm. So I get a call at 3:00 on a Thursday. Then we have to wait inspection. Then it has to go back to the bank. It ended up pushing it back like another 21 days, like business days. So basically a whole other month. I was like, oh my goodness. You know what I mean? Like you're ready to finally get the check after all the hard work. So well, congratulations on that one. That's awesome. So when you, I want to go back to. You said the bank calling you. So how did you create that relationship with the local bank? How do they know how to call? How did you interact with them? Because most people, especially in this crazy market we're in now, foreclosures are gone. You see some stuff on Zillow or something like that that says pre-foreclosure. Odds are, if you're not buying it literally at the courthouse steps via auction, which those prices have kind of got out of control too. How do you put yourself in a position to partner with a bank or have the bank reach out to you before it goes to the public?
It's actually super simple. Shake hands. Mm-hmm. Shake hands. You need to go into every bank, especially your local banks. The bigger banks are going to be harder. Of course, they have so many layers to get through. But your local banks, oftentimes the people that deal with these or make the decisions on them are working in that back office of that community bank. So go in there, shake hands, tell them what you do. Tell them, we're serious cash buyers. If you guys have a property you can't get rid of, or you want to get rid of it, or you don't want to take it back, sometimes the banks, a lot of people don't understand this, but banks aren't in the real estate business. They don't want real estate. They just want the loans. They want to make money on the money. They don't want anything to do with real estate. And oftentimes they don't even understand the market. They don't understand the values. Like they're going off of the appraiser. Them themselves don't understand. They're not in that game. Banks sell money. And so that's why they want to get out of these properties quickly, especially if it's run down or beat up. They don't even want to take the time to like get it ready to list again. So they'll call us and just say, hey, you guys interested in this one? Let's walk through it. And so that's what we did. We shook hands with every community bank inside of our area and other people to shake hands with lawyers, divorce lawyers, almost any type of attorney, tax people, money management people. Anybody that deals with real estate or property or people with money, they need to know who you are and what you do.
Yeah, and there's a YouTuber out there, or I guess he's a guru probably at this point, based out of that Phoenix market, and he says TTP, baby, TTP, talk to people, just tell them what you do, shake hands, and I mean you're just reverberating that to our audience here. That's something that in all reality a lot of people can get better at. And it's hard to do when you're new, right? To just walk in and say I'm an investor. So I would recommend getting a couple deals under your belt, and then actively trying to build those relationships, just so you can be a little bit more educated, with how things are going. You've got your team in place, you've got your lenders in place, things like that, to make that deal with a bank or a probate attorney or whoever it might be. Go super smooth, right? Because that's what they want.
No matter what you do, keep your word.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. So if you tell the bank you're going to buy it, you better buy it. Because if they're not going to keep calling you, like you're not going to keep wasting their time.
Yeah.
And sometimes even if let's say that you finally got the bank to call you to meet you and do a deal, and the deal is a little tight. It works, but it's a little tight. You wish the margins were a little bit better. Keep in mind that's an investment. Mm-hmm. So you buy that first deal from the bank, and maybe your normal margin is like, I got to at least make 25, and on this deal you're only making 20. Yep. Well, that $5,000 difference is going towards buying a deal from the bank and establishing a relationship that now they'll send you more deals because you bought from them, you kept your word, and you didn't waste their time. And so that's an investment.
Because they're calling you because they want to hit the easy button, right? That's more the easy button for them. Having to, go through the whole process, like you said, make repairs, hiring contract, get the grass cut in the summer, I was looking at a foreclosure, vacation style home on the river, and I talked to the guy. He was cutting the grass, and I was like, hey, give me a little, insight or whatever. He said, I don't know, I've been cutting the grass here for 8 months. And this was an $800,000 house, that was on the auction block, sitting on the roof. He said he's been cutting the grass for 8 months. It's been vacant that he knows about. Oh my God. So it's like, what are the other carrying costs with a property like that? It's just $1 million sitting there to the bank. But yeah, great advice to anyone out there. It's not only generating leads yourself via however you're doing it online or direct mail or whatever. It's really partnering with the people around you. And creating that community for you to be the solution, when the time's right. And John here named a lot of great resources there, and because they're selling them to somebody, so you want to put your hat in the game.
Just be known locally. I mean, we surprise people. We're on pace this month. We've bought about a house a month, so we're averaging about a house a month. Our goal is 40 houses a year, so we're actually a little bit ahead of pace on that so far. But about 40 houses a year. We're a little bit ahead of pace, but a lot of people are surprised and like, what do y'all do for marketing? What's your marketing budget?
That's amazing. And you mean a house a week, correct? Yeah.
We about a house a week, and we haven't outside of our hosting our website, I guess. We have not.
Yeah, but you're talking in comparison. Hosting a website, that's just like the yellow pages nowadays, right?
Yeah,
or whatever back in the day, where you're looking at your people that are wholesaling or they're just trying to feed their funnel into larger organizations where they're spending tens of thousands of dollars every month just on direct mail, just on pay-per-click. So being able to generate that word of mouth and being considered, in all reality, a local resource for the community. And being known in the community.
Yep. Our Facebook page has a little bit over 13,000 followers, and of
Yeah,
that,
that's
I mean, I'm
amazing.
guessing at least 10,000 are local. And so when we post on there, we do coming soon
Mm-hmm.
videos. We do, we just stay active. We have an Instagram page as well, and it just once you're known locally, you
Yep.
just want to become omnipresent. They call it, like anywhere anybody thinks of you. When somebody thinks
Yep.
of selling their home, they think of your company. It's the first thing that comes to mind, and you got to get there as quickly as you can. It's going to take time. Keep in mind, we've been doing this 4.5 years
Yep.
with me and the partners, but about 6-7 years total locally. And I would say that we're probably the biggest flippers. I'm not sure about in the state. That would be hard to determine, but definitely locally.
I would have to imagine because Charleston's, is it the biggest city in West Virginia?
It's one of the biggest cities, but it's still not, I mean, it's still only it's like 60,000 people.
Yeah, definitely bigger than Beckley.
Yeah.
If you're looking for good whitewater rafting, there you go.
There you
go.
go.
Yeah.
Beautiful out there.
Oh, it is. It's amazing. Yeah. Was it Wild and Wonderful, West Virginia?
Yeah, there it is.
I'm just down in Virginia, so all we gotta do is just pop across the mountain there. So we always like to ask, how you're pretty established, but when you first started out, and maybe it was the big monetary deal with one of your investors, like what changed your mindset, or how did it change your life focusing on real estate? You said you own a lot of business, so it doesn't really sound like you came from the corporate W-2 world and snuck out and went down that. It sounds like you were an entrepreneur at heart, even before you knew it. And you had moving companies and of the sort and everything else, a gym maybe, I think you said. Yeah. So you've been in a lot of things to deal that really made you focus in on real estate.
So it's probably my wife and I's first investment through the company. So we were, I was just getting my bearings. We were probably, 3 to 4 months in with my new partners, and I was watching how it worked. So we bring in the private money, we buy the deal. The private investor some of our private investors don't even look at our deals. They just trust us now, right? Of course, we send them, we do the deal, we vet for them. We send them the deal, the property, the numbers, but they don't come look at the houses anymore. They don't have the time. And I was like, so one of our biggest investors in the company, our biggest investor, I saw the checks going out to him for deals he's never looked at. And I was like, Rihanna, my wife, I was like, we need to just do this. All right. I know it's scary, but we need to do it. We got a ton of cash sitting here, relatively speaking, and we're very conservative with our money, and we're for the lack of better, we're scared, right? But I'm watching it work, and I'm doing it. I moved into like the chief financial officer role pretty quickly inside the company, and I was like, I'm seeing the money, I'm controlling it, I'm helping with it. This works. People are doing this. So we were out there looking at a house, and we walked out to the truck, me and my partners, and we're like, we could do this. We could buy this house. It's a big rancher. It was like almost 3,000 square feet with a swimming pool. And we're running the numbers, and we're like, well, wonder who we get as an investor. And I was just like, I'll do it. And I think my partners were taken back because I didn't really tell them how much money I had sitting around, right? So just the purchase was $115,000, which in some markets is nothing, but it's a big cash investment for your first big deal, right? It's a lot of money. So I said, I'll do it. And they were like, you sure? And I was like, I'll do the deal, right? And I did everything on this deal, right? Because I was so scared, and I was just learning my partners, right? So did I trust them entirely? No. We were just getting started together. I managed, it was a lipstick flip. Perfect. So we just kind of put carpet in there, and I focused on the pool. I made the pool really nice. Like it would look like the Caribbean water. That was going to be, and it worked. But it was basically I think it was a 115 purchase. We put maybe 5,000 to 8,000 in it, and we're going to put it back up for 160. It was worth 240, but it needed a lot of work. So I managed all this, managed the windows that needed changed out, the floor in one room, and did the pool, right? I'm out there every weekend. And then I also sold it. So I did an open house. I did 3 open houses, and I sold it off market, which helped again with my returns because no realtor, but I did the whole process. I think I made on my investment, on Rihanna and I's investment on 115, I think we made like 10 in about 3 months. And I was like, oh. And that's I was actually putting time into it, but it was still a great return. And I was like, okay, I think we can do this. So that was being super nervous on one deal, having 115,000 now, to now that Rihanna and I we're probably funded, not just in the company, but on outside deals as well. We fund anywhere from 4 to 7 houses at a time and have upwards of over 600,000 in cash out at any given time. So that's how it escalated. And now, I'm making what some would call a good salary just on passive investment.
Yeah, that's amazing, and that's a whole aspect of it that a lot of people don't really even think about when they're entering the real estate world. And now that I've been in it for a while, I've been introduced to people. Some would say it's hard money, but when it's coming from a guy down the street, I consider that private money.
Yes.
Some people say private money is just like your friend's dad or whatever. Private money to me is localized money that you can go shake hands with. Hard money is when you get on the internet, find some company that it lends you at 10% or whatever it might be. But yeah, I've met these guys, and they're lending between 8 and 10 points to people that walk up. Originally, you might get a better rate after a while, but it's not going to be much. But what people don't think about is like what you said is that you got, let's just say, 10% return on your investment or 8%, but it only took you 3 months. So like if you're going to sit here and argue with me like, oh, well, the stock market average over the last 100 years is a 7% return, this and that, it could be more, but that's over a year. Right. What you just told me is that you can turn that 4 times in a year, or maybe let's say it took 4 months, 3 times in a year. So really your 10% investment gets tripled to 30% or whatever it may be. And really, unless you're just a magic stock picker, there's not many returns that can keep up with that kind of
also
pace.
It's secured.
Yes.
It's secured by an asset.
Exactly. So worst case scenario, you foreclose on it, you have the house and you have the knowledge on how to repair it yourself and resell it for more money if you have to, because you guys already have the business in place. So kind of goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning. One thing kind of leads to another. And like you said, you sold it yourself. Recently, last year, I went and got my real estate license because I'll just list our flips. It's that easy. And I think the minimum commission through the brokerage is like $400 or $368 or something like that. So no longer am I having to pay that 10, 20 grand and on the sale as well. So amazing, something that everybody should keep in mind. Just like any business, it's multifaceted, and you can go in a lot of different directions. You've got your bread and butter, kind of like what the business started as, and you're really good at flipping, buying, rent to owns, and then now you build your pipeline, and then you're wholesaling some properties you guys that don't make sense for you guys. You're lending on the side, so there's a lot of different income streams coming in that helps everybody grow and grow their riches, I guess you would say. So, you described a couple of different models, how you guys go to bat when it comes to business. What would be some advice that you could give someone that wants to do what you're doing, and maybe they're just starting out and they've only got a couple of deals under their belt, and like you said, scared money don't make money, about kind of being confident in what they're doing and modeling after someone like you.
Yeah. So first of all, the biggest advice I give anybody is get around the right people as soon as possible. If that's networking events, if the group you're around right now is just talking about it, and you've been talking about it 6 months, a year, chances are you're never going to do it. So get around people that are doing it, that are already doing it, not planning on doing it, but are already doing it, and be of service to them some way, somehow. Everybody needs something. Prove yourself to them, prove your value, get around them, and that will speed up the process of getting to your ultimate goal of getting started with this. And yes, being confident is key. Confidence comes from experience and education. You won't have the experience out the gate, but you could be educated. So read the books, watch the podcasts, watch stuff like this, get on Bigger Pockets, educate yourself on deals, know the lingo, know how to speak. And that way, you don't really want to fake it till you make it, but you want to have the confidence when you talk with people that you have done your research, that you do understand what ROI means, that you do understand what a foreclosure is. So when you have these general conversations with people that you're just meeting, even if you haven't done a deal, at least they know you're educated on it, because that saves them a lot of time in educating you on they just don't have the time. People like this don't have the time. You need to be of service to them, not the other way around. It will reciprocate. If you help somebody else, if you help enough people, what's the quote? If you help enough people get what you want, you'll get what you want in return in abundance, right? So that's what you need to do.
Yeah, that's all great advice. And it's something else that I know you used to do. I'm not sure how much you're involved in it anymore, but doing a lot of things yourself, right? That makes you confident, knowing how, I'm not saying, you have to replumb an entire house, something, but getting in there, getting dirty, starting out, and that helps you with, contractors and being able to estimate your numbers and things like that, knowing the real cost and labor behind certain things that really aren't that hard, like changing an outlet or something, that you can just knock out pretty quick, starting out. All that stuff comes together and helps you build confidence, and education to a point, right? Because a lot of people have analysis paralysis, where they watch 400 episodes of Bigger Pockets and still haven't bought a 3-bed, 2-bath rancher, So educate yourself enough that when the time is right, you can take action and pull the trigger to buy that house, right? Because there's never this perfect deal.
And if you want to pull the trigger, get with somebody that will.
That's right. All great advice. Thanks, John. And so what you kind of touched it, you said your ultimate goal. What is the ultimate goal for you and your partners as a business or individually?
Get this thing on cruise control. It used to be flip 100 houses a year, but we've seen like the scalability is kind of difficult and not really there, or not really worth our time invested. So I think if we can average 30 to 40 houses a year, but have it on cruise control and then do our outside businesses, I think that would be the goal for the flipping company. I think that we're all focused now that we're getting a little bit older and have some cash to spend. We're focused on building our rental portfolios and having that, more passive income.
Yeah. So what's your long-term business goal for you and your partners?
Yeah, so it's definitely getting the business on cruise control and just, like I said, flipping about 40 hours a year with a team in place so that we're not always hands-on. Maybe we go in the office once a week or twice a week. And we're slowly getting there. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to find the right team and the right people, but that would be that. And we're all transitioning to buying more rentals. And my wife and I are torn between buying more rentals and just becoming private money lenders. There's a higher upside probably there's a higher upside to having the equity in all your deals and your rentals, and it's something that can be passed on, but you cannot get easier than private money lending. You just can't. You can make outstanding returns. I actually know a guy, he lives in Michigan. He had over 100 and some rentals. He sold every single one of them and just turned into private money. He said, now all I do is manage money. That's in all of my clientele. He said, I'm going to lose on some deals. I've calculated that. Somebody's going to rip me off. But all of my clientele, 98% are people that are, pretty upstanding. If you're looking to buy real estate and know how to fund deals, you got to have some type of responsibility to you, right? And some people will lose and get themselves in trouble, but he doesn't lend to brand new investors. He's only lending to people that have done 5 or 10 deals. And if you can successfully show the HUDs on 5 deals, you're probably doing okay, right? And now you're a safe borrower, and so that's what he does. He has over 300 notes out at a time.
That's amazing.
So
he's doing damn okay. Yeah, no, when I first started out, I was to this day I have not used hard money or private money, right? I've tried to bankroll everything I can. I recently worked with a local community bank to get an uncollateralized credit line that I'm using personally. But like all those things that you said take track record, right? Like you got to be able to prove what you're doing, what you're going to say you're going to do, and you're making money at it. But when I was first started out, I was like, I'm going to need private money. And I found a couple guys, and exactly what you said, this gentleman, I mean, they're doing so well that like both his kids went to, VMI, Virginia Military Institute, this and that. College, went to work for him, right? Mm-hmm. So like they literally tour homes in Richmond, like 1 day a week. They drive down to the beach to like the Hampton Roads area. They tour homes down there on like Wednesday, right? They assess them. They lend on what they want to. And like he looked me dead in my eye and said, we don't run out of money.
That's awesome.
Right. So he's clearly got plenty of cash, right, from doing this over the last 30 years. And now he's brought 2 of his sons in, and they're working full time with him. And like they're the ones doing the tours and all of that. And I mean, that's what they do now. And it's the easiest money you can make. It's an investment that you literally is tangible. There's a physical piece of land there or a house. It's fully insured. Like he forces you to buy his insurance policy through his agent, which God knows he's probably getting a kickback somehow on that too, right? And so it's insured if it burns out or whatever. And literally, he gets his money off the HUD when it's sold, right? Or he'll just foreclose on you if you never sell it or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, and it's another thing we talk about, the speed of money, the rotation of money. For 4 months it's this, which means it's really hard to get out at 4 months at 8. Once you go for 4 months, it goes to 10%, and it's just a simple model. That's it. There's no money up front. He'll lend on pretty much almost 100% of the deal, depending on who you are. But even if it's your first deal, it's really high loan ratio there, and yeah, so it's something that people should really think about if you got some cash sitting around, getting in the right community, and spending your money that way, versus having to run out to a property and put a mailbox on because it's going on the market on Tuesday or whatever it might be. So we talked about education. When you first started out, what were like your main? Was there any books, podcasts that really took you to the next level and started to build your confidence?
Yeah, I mean, you got the tried and true, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. A real good one for me is How to Win Friends and Influence People. Mm-hmm. I think networking is probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest skill you can have when it comes to business in general. Grant Cardone, he's wishy-washy for me, mm-hmm. but I did like his 10X book. Those right there, those three get you started. I'm huge on being financially savvy. So The Richest Man in Babylon, that was
I love that book.
Yeah, I'm frugal and always will be. I thought that the more income I had, the more money I had, the less frugal I would be. But I think it's a skill set almost, and it got me here. And so I'm not going to just drop it. And so my name on Instagram is The Frugal Investor.
Yeah.
So that's
for sure. Yeah, The Frugal Investor, and that kind of leads us into where can people find out more about you? I know you've got a YouTube channel, Instagram. What else you got going on?
So yeah, actually the biggest thing I'm pitching lately, because I think it can help the most people, is my wife and I started a Discord called More Than Money, and you can find it through Patreon. It's $25 a month, and you get access to us through a forum. But we also go live about twice a week, and we just talk about money, real estate investing, budgeting, saving, relationships and finance, and we just teach people how we reach financial freedom in our 30s, and we want to help more people get there. Each one teach one. But if you also want to find just some of my social media content, YouTube, Jon Schoeller. I just passed 13,000 subscribers, so that's kind of growing for me. And then on Instagram, The Frugal Investor.
Yeah, definitely. And that's how I found you. John has some great content out there. His YouTube videos are getting thousands and thousands of views. It's not like there's 4 people watching it. So he's definitely doing something that's beneficial to the real estate community, and people are learning from him. He also might real quickly tell you about touring abandoned Caribbean resorts. So what island was that on, and what was the story behind that?
So yeah, we just went to the Virgin Islands for 2 weeks, and we were in St. John and St. Thomas. We split it up, and we got to St. Thomas, and next door to our resort was this humongous resort, over 300 rooms, and it just looks like it's sitting there. Nobody's there, and you could actually walk to it if you scaled down our beach and walked over some rocks. And I was like, you know what? I tour homes on my YouTube, all homes before and after. So why not do a resort tour? And there was no trespassing signs. So we walked through, not the whole thing, we didn't have time for that, but we walked through a majority of it and toured it. And the video is up, and it's crazy that it just looked like it was somebody hit the pause button and walked away.
That's crazy, yeah. So if you're looking for that little story, The Frugal Investor on Instagram, a link tree on there, they'll link you into all his YouTube and all of that stuff. We'll definitely link it in the show notes as well, in the podcast notes. But just to kind of end it, on something we've touched on a couple of spots within our talk here is, freedom. And that's what allowed you to go for that 2-week vacation to the Virgin Islands, right? Being frugal, not buying the newest Gucci bag, not going out and getting your brand new car every 3 years. Things like that compound over time and allow you to start investing. And there's a lot of ways out there to invest. We've talked about a bunch. There's a lot of ways to make money when it comes in real estate. But at the end of the day, it's about being financially free, which allows you to, not call into your 9 to 5 and explore or do whatever you want to put time, play golf or whatnot. So, we thank you today, John. Go visit all of his YouTube and Instagram page. I think he's even got a TikTok too. It'll link into all of that. There's some exciting content, not only about houses, but about ways to save money. And then check out his Patreon. I think there's a lot of people that can benefit from just little financial knowledge, something that our school system does not do that great of a job in teaching our kids nowadays. So thanks for your time, John. We loved having you here, and till we meet again.
Thank you for listening to another amazing episode of Your Biggest Deal. Please like, subscribe, and share with friends. And don't forget to tag Your Biggest Deal on Facebook and Instagram. To connect with Joseph Williams or for questions and feedback, visit yourbiggestdeal.com. Thank you for listening and learning. Now, it's time to take action.